June 27th, 1954, Guatemala City. The presidential palace is silent. Phones that haven't stopped ringing for 10 days have finally gone dead. In a corner office, a man named Jacobo Arbenz, democratically elected, beloved by his people, listens to the static and understands what it means. He has lost. But he didn't lose to an army. He didn't lose to a foreign invasion. He didn't even lose to a revolution. He lost to a fruit company. This is the story of how a corporation that sold bananas became more powerful than presidents, how it bought generals, rewrote borders, owned navies, and killed, by some estimates, hundreds of thousands of people. This is the story of the United Fruit Company, and by the end of this video you'll understand why the term Banana Republic isn't a joke. It was a business model. Tea begins, like most American empires, with a railroad. A young entrepreneur named Miner Keith arrives in Costa Rica with a contract to build a track from the coast to the capital. The jungle, he discovers, is unforgiving. Workers die of malaria, yellow fever, starvation. By the time the railroad reaches the highlands, more than 4,000 men are buried beneath its ties. The Costa Rican government can't pay him, so Keith negotiates a different kind of currency: land, hundreds of thousands of acres of it, tax-free forever. He plants bananas. The fruit is cheap to grow, ships well, and Americans have never tasted anything like it. Within a decade, Keith is sending millions of bunches to ports in New Orleans and Boston. He merges with a Boston rival in 1899 and the United Fruit Company is born. By 1930, the company owns more arable land than any single Central American government. Its private railroads run for thousands of miles. Its ships, the Great White Fleet, outnumber some national navies. In Honduras, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Colombia, and beyond, United Fruit doesn't just operate in these countries, it owns them. The locals have a name for it: El Pulpo, the octopus. December 6th, 1928. Cienega, Colombia. It's just before midnight. 3,000 banana workers and their wives and their children are gathered in the town square. They've been on strike for over a month. Their demands are not revolutionary. They want written contracts, 6-day weeks, a break for lunch, toilets in the fields. United Fruit's response has been simple: lobby Washington. The US State Department warns Colombia that if the strike isn't broken, American Marines will land, so the Colombian government sends its army instead. General Carlos Cortés Vargas, nicknamed El Carnicero, the butcher, reads a decree from the church steps. The crowd has 5 minutes to disperse. They don't. Machine guns open fire from the rooftops. How many people died that night is still disputed. The official number was 9. Survivors and journalists put it in the thousands. The bodies, witnesses claimed, were loaded onto banana freight trains and dumped into the Caribbean Sea. Decades later, a young Colombian writer named Gabriel Garcia Marquez would put the massacre into a novel called 100 Years of Solitude. He would change one detail, the exact body count, because the truth, he said, had become unprovable. The octopus had learned something important: it could kill, and the world would look away. 26 years pass. In Guatemala, a former army officer named Jacobo Arbenz wins the presidency in a landslide. He is not a communist, though his enemies will call him one. He is a reformer, and he sees a problem. 70% of his country's farmable land is owned by foreign corporations. The largest of them is United Fruit, which holds over 550,000 acres. Most of it sits unused, kept in reserve. Meanwhile, peasant farmers starve. Arbenz passes a land reform law. The government will buy back unused acres at the price United Fruit itself declared for tax purposes and redistribute the land to the poor. United Fruit panics. The company turns to its friends in Washington, and those friends are very, very close. The US Secretary of State, John Foster Dulles, was a lawyer for United Fruit. His brother, Alan Dulles, is director of the CIA and sits on United Fruit's board. The president's personal secretary is married to a United Fruit executive. The US ambassador to the United Nations is a major shareholder. The CIA begins planning Operation PBSUCCESS. Mercenary pilots are hired. Radio stations broadcast fake battle reports into Guatemala to make a small invasion sound like a national uprising. A list of opponents to be eliminated is drawn up. On June 27, 1954, after weeks of pressure, propaganda, and bombing, Arbenz resigns. The CIA installs a hand-picked colonel in his place. What follows is 40 years of military dictatorship, a civil war that kills over 200,000 people, death squads, mass graves, entire indigenous villages erased from the map. United Fruit kept growing. In 1970, after antitrust scrutiny and a string of scandals, it rebranded. You probably know its new name, Chiquita, the same blue sticker on the bananas in your kitchen. In 2007, the company pleaded guilty to a federal crime. For 6 years, between 1997 and 2004, Chiquita had paid over $1.7 million to a Colombian paramilitary group called the AUC, a designated terrorist organization responsible for thousands of murders. The company called the payments security. Prosecutors called them extortion. The victims' families called them what they were, bribes to a death squad. Chiquita paid a $25 million fine. No executive went to prison. In 2024, a US jury finally awarded a small group of those victims' families $38 million. Chiquita is still appealing. The octopus, after all this time, is still alive, just under a friendlier name, with a friendlier logo, and bananas that cost, in your grocery store, less than $1 a pound. There's a saying in Central America, a man does not bite the fruit that feeds him, but the fruit sometimes bites back. The family that knew their drug would kill millions and sold it anyway. Subscribe, or you'll miss it.